Your teen hasn't done their homework. Again, so you explain. You list all the reasons why homework matters: college applications, future opportunities, building good habits, responsibility. And with every reason you give, you watch their face get harder, their arms cross tighter. And by the time you finish your perfectly logical explanation, they're more resistant than when you started. What just happened? You fell into the explanation trap. And here's the part that makes this so frustrating. You weren't wrong. Everything you said was true. Homework does matter. Your reasons were valid. But the more you explained, the worse it got. Let me show you why. This isn't because you're bad at explaining, and it's not because your teen is being deliberately difficult. It's because of a psychological phenomenon called reactance. And once you understand it, you'll never over-explain again. Reactance is your brain's automatic resistance to feeling controlled. It's not conscious. It's not a choice. It's a hardwired response that says, when someone tries to take away my freedom to choose, I fight back. And here's the critical part. The more someone explains why you should do something, the more your brain interprets it as, they're trying to control me, not, they're trying to help me. Control. Now, adults experience reactance too. Think about the last time someone gave you unsolicited advice about your diet, your finances, your parenting. Even if they were right, didn't part of you want to do the exact opposite just to prove they couldn't control you? That's reactance. But here's why it's so much more intense with teenagers. Their brains are in the middle of a massive developmental shift. The part of their brain that's waking up right now, the part that's coming online during adolescence, is obsessed with one thing: autonomy. Their brain is literally rewiring itself to answer the question, am I my own person, or am I controlled by others? So, when you give them 3, 4, 5 reasons why they should do something, their developing brain doesn't hear helpful guidance. It hears a threat to their autonomy, and it responds with resistance. Not because they disagree with your reasons, but because accepting those reasons feels like giving up control. Let me show you exactly what this looks like. Imagine your teen wants to go to a party. You say no. They ask why. And here's where most parents fall into the trap. Well, I don't know the parents, and I heard there might be alcohol there. And you have a test on Monday. And last time you went to a party, you came home 2 hours late. And I'm concerned about who else will be there. And frankly, you haven't been very responsible lately, so I don't think you've earned this privilege. 6 reasons, all valid, all true. But here's what your teen's brain heard. I need to give you 6 reasons because I don't trust you to make your own decisions. I need to convince you because your own judgment doesn't matter. I'm controlling you, and here's my legal case for why I have the right to do it. Their reactance spikes, and now they're not thinking about whether the party is a good idea. They're thinking about how to fight back against your control. Do you see the trap? The more reasons you give, the more you signal, I'm trying to convince you, which means I'm trying to control you. And the more you try to control them, the harder they resist. So what do you do instead? The technique is called boundary without biography, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You set the boundary. You give 1 reason, maybe 2 if absolutely necessary, and then you stop. Here's what it sounds like. Teen, can I go to the party? You, not this one. I don't know the parents, and I'm not comfortable with the setup. Teen, but why? Everyone's going. You never let me do anything. And here's the critical moment. The old you would launch into the 6-reason explanation. The new you says this: I know you're disappointed. The answer is still no. That's it. No additional reasons. No justification. No legal argument for why you're right. Because here's what you're communicating. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to control your mind. I'm simply setting a boundary as the parent. You can disagree with it, and I'll still care about you. But the boundary stands. And something interesting happens. When you stop trying to convince them, their reactance has nothing to push against. They might still be frustrated. They might still argue, but you're not feeding the psychological resistance anymore. Now, I know what you're thinking, but shouldn't I explain my reasoning? Shouldn't I teach them why this matters? Isn't that good parenting? And the answer is yes, but not in the moment of conflict. When reactance is activated, when their manipulation detector is screaming they're trying to control me, no amount of explanation will get through. In fact, it makes it worse. But later, when emotions have calmed, when you're not in the middle of a power struggle, that's when you can have the deeper conversation. Hey, I want to talk about last night. I know you were upset about the party. Can I share why I made that call? Now their brain isn't in defense mode. Now they can actually hear you. And ironically, they're way more likely to understand your reasoning when you're not trying to force them to accept it. Here's another example. Homework. Old pattern. You need to do your homework because it affects your grades, and your grades affect college, and college affects your future. And I'm not going to watch you throw away your opportunities because you're too lazy to do 30 minutes of work. I don't trust you to care about your own future. I need to scare you into compliance. I'm controlling you. New pattern. Homework needs to be done before screens. But why? It's stupid. It doesn't even matter. I hear you. The rule is homework before screens. That's it. You're not debating whether homework matters. You're not trying to convince them that education is important. You're stating a boundary. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop over-explaining, when you stop trying to win the argument, you stop teaching them that boundaries are up for negotiation. Because every time you give 6 reasons, you're implying, if you can defeat my 6 reasons, the boundary disappears. And smart teenagers will absolutely take that challenge. But when you simply state the boundary and hold it calmly, you're teaching a different lesson. Some things aren't up for debate, not because I'm a dictator, but because I'm the parent, and this is my job. Now, let's talk about the 1 reason rule. You can give 1 clear, calm reason, not 6. 1. Not this party. I don't know the parents. Homework before screens. That's our family rule. Curfew is 11. That's what we agreed on. 1 reason, and then you stop talking, because the goal isn't to convince them you're right. The goal is to set a clear boundary and then give them space to have their feelings about it. They can be mad, they can be frustrated, they can think you're being unfair. All of that is okay. You're not trying to control their emotions. You're just holding the boundary. And here's what's so powerful about this. When you stop over-explaining, you actually model something incredibly valuable. You model that you can make a decision and stand by it without needing everyone to agree with you. That's a life skill they desperately need. Think about how many adults struggle with this. They can't set a boundary at work without giving a 15-minute explanation. They can't say no to a friend without an elaborate justification. They can't make a decision without needing everyone's approval. When you hold boundaries without over-explaining, you're teaching your teen you can be confident in your decisions even when people push back. You don't need to convince everyone. You just need to be clear and calm. So here's your challenge for this week. Pick 1 boundary. Just 1. It could be screen time, it could be curfew, it could be chores. And practice the boundary without biography technique. State the boundary. Give 1 reason if you want, and then stop. When they push back, and they will, resist the urge to explain more. Just calmly repeat, I hear you. The boundary is still X. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first. You're going to want to fill the silence with more reasons. Don't. Just breathe. Hold the boundary and let them have their feelings. Because here's the truth. You're not responsible for making them happy with every decision you make. You're responsible for keeping them safe and helping them grow. And sometimes that means disappointing them. If this video helped you see why over-explaining backfires, the next one is about something even more surprising. It's called the mirror effect, and it's about what your teen reflects back to you when they disrespect you. I'll see you there.